Hi, I'm Paul Merchant and I'm the Global Head of Makeup for Kryolan. Today I'm going to be recreating one of the looks from our Halloween campaign. I hope you enjoy the tutorial. So the first step is to prepare the skin with the natural micellar water from the Clean and Care range. When we're using any kind of prosthetic adhesive or alcohol-based paints, we have a product called Marley Skin. Creates a protective barrier against the person's skin and the products that we'll be using on top. I'm going to begin by using a bit of the Prosthetic adhesive, the original, and I'm just going to brush a little bit of the Prosthetic through the part of the brow that I need to remain flat, where the prosthetic is going to travel through. So Prosthetic is a contact adhesive, so it doesn't actually start to set or cure until it's had pressure or it's some kind of contact. So I'm going to use my own thumb and I'm just going to start to press that down flat as possible to the surface of the skin. I'm going to be using the FX Design colour in the colour Brick. FX Design colour is activated by isopropanol alcohol, which will give us a nice colour correction through the translucency of the prosthetic. This is Parchment, and just add a slight wash of colour that's similar to the skin tone. At this stage it doesn't have to be a perfect match, as the prosthetic will go over the top. I'm now going to be using a combination of the silicone adhesive Neo in regular bond, but I will use a slight amount of the remover and thinner just to thin it down a little bit. So I'm just adding my first layer of the adhesive onto the skin. I'm going to also place some of that onto the back of the prosthetic as well. I'm going to put that in place, and as I'm laying it down, I'm making sure that I'm smoothing them edges and pressing the piece into the adhesive. There should be no kind of bubbles or ridges here. We should start to see the natural skin tone coming through there, and I'm layering that down, which is then going to give us a nice transition between the real skin and the prosthetic. Our next step is to dissolve away the edges of the prosthetic piece. So acetone is really effective at achieving this. So we're very gently rolling the acetone, very slightly pulling the flash in, just so that we're starting to get that breakdown from the piece into the natural skin. So I'm now going to use a rubber pore sponge with our Prosthetic, and I'm just going to use that to stipple around the edges of my prosthetic. This is going to help the edges just to kind of stay stuck down there. It also helps to create a nice little bit of texture, and we're just going to allow a few moments for that to dry before we powder with our translucent powder. This is just going to help to completely set the Prosthetic and also reduce that amount of shine. Now I'm just going to give a light dusting over the top just to remove any of the excess powders. Now I'm going to use a custom selection of colours from the FX Design range. So I begin with the colour Brick. I'm firstly mixing the product with a little of the IPA. So the more of the isopropyl alcohol that you mix in with the FX Design colour, the more translucent of a wash the colour becomes. And natural skin is quite translucent, so in order to build this kind of detailing that you can see on the natural skin of the flecks of lots of multiple different colours, we use this stippling technique with a cut down chip brush. And what we do is we gently just flick the product from the chip brush onto the prosthetic and the skin. This is going to start to build a slightly mottled effect, which is more of a natural impression of how our skin complexion is built up. The next colour from the FX Design colours I'm going to be applying is Parchment. This is going to help me to build a slightly lighter skin tone all over the prosthetic and the natural skin. Now we're going to be using the True White from the FX Design colour range, and we're going to be starting to lighten the skin and the prosthetic all over to give us more of a ghostly impression. So when you're applying the FX Design colours, we want to be focusing on the planes of the face, but avoiding the eyes and the lips. Because it's an alcohol-based paint, we don't want to be using that around the sensitive areas. So we're now going to be using the colours True White, Periwinkle and Cornflower. It's creating like a very pale blue undertone to the skin now, kind of skin that lacks life. We're now going to be using the colours Steel and Medium Brown. So I'm using a fine brush and I'm just gently picking out areas of the skin that we can add a little bit more depth of colour to accentuate and age our model. I'm now going to use the Super Colour Collection. I'm going to be using this around the eye, This is going to replicate the similar kind of colouring that I've used to create the wrinkles. And I'm just working into the very corner of each of the eyes just to add a bit of shading and a bit of depth to the sockets of the eyes. Now from the same palette, I'm going to apply a little bit of Lake Ultra into the very, very depths of the application that I've just applied. We want the lips to look a little bit more like our ghostly character. Now at this stage, I just want to powder the application of the Supra colour on the eyes and the lip area. I'm now going to work on beginning to colour our scar. And now I'm just building up between them three colours, adding more depth with the darkest and adding a little bit more of fleshy tones with the lighter colours until I'm happy with the overall visual of the wound. I'm now going to be introducing a little bit of the colour cornflower into the deepest parts, will just help to bring a little bit more of a ghostly impression. I'm now going to be using our effects palette again, and I'll be looking at the reds in the central column to extend the scarring over the eye. So we're using a combination of the FX Design colours to add that green slime and these washes of colour, like the skin is started to become a little bit mouldy over the time that it's been around the water. We're now going to use the aqua colour mixed with a little bit of water, and what I want to do is build a nice paste out of this consistency. I'm going to be using this to go through the natural hairs of the model's brows. We're going to bring that through the front of the hairline as well. So now I'll be using Prosthetic, the original, over that detailing of the green FX Design colours that I was just applying. I'm just going to start to adhere the small pieces of foliage that help to build up that kind of weed impression on the skin. So next we will be applying one of our full beards. We're going to be using HD Pro Gum. So HD Pro Gum is the perfect adhesive to choose if you're applying anything that's already set on wig lace. When it dries, it almost becomes invisible to the eye. So I'm just applying the HD Pro Gum all along the edges of our wig lace. So I'm now going to apply the beard by just applying a little bit of pressure. So I want to make sure that it's sat and joins the hairline exactly where the natural hair, and I'm just rolling the wig lace into the skin. And as you can see, as the glue starts to dry, it's incredibly effective at basically just helping the wig lace to disappear into the natural skin. So the next step is to apply our real hair moustache. With our prestige pieces, they do come on really fine wig lace. Check where the wig lace is sitting before you start to put the glue on the lace. Applying the HD Pro Gum, we're just going to press that into place. We're now going to use some crepe hair. This is a synthetic crepe wool. I'm just going to be stretching the yarn out. I'm just separating that through, and we're going to be using it to bulk out the beard and add some more length. You can lift up sections of your beard and you can just glue them with the HD Pro Gum directly underneath the beard and then style down, and then you slowly begin to build up in layers the length of the beard. And then we can clean up the very ends and trim these and style them once you've layered the rest of your hair. So we're now going to apply a couple of layers of fixer spray. So always give the canister a shake. Hold the canister 15 to 20 centimeters away from the skin. Always make sure that your client's eyes are closed. Then work in circular motions with short, sharp bursts of the fixer spray. So what I want to do now is add the final touches, which is our glycerin. So we're going to use this today to add a wetness to our model's skin. And then I want there to be droplets of water within the hair. So you can pour it directly onto clothing as well. For today, that's going to be enough for us. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you found some nice tips and tricks in there with some of our newer and more traditional products also. If you've got any comments, please put them in the section below. If not, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe.